Okay, good evening, Ammy fans. Welcome to another episode of the Dirty Old Podcast with myself, Coops, Gav, Rousey, and Danny. How are we doing, boys?
Good, thank
All
you.
good, all good.
Oh, looking like we're in not as happy as we've been looking in recent weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts are, guys. Just a quick one, though. Some Ammy fans might realise that we're on Spotify now, so you can find us on Spotify. So if YouTube's not your thing, get on WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, forget WhatsApp,
No,
get on Spotify and listen. I know, long awaited. There's only one episode, but this one will be the second.
Yeah, going up in the world.
And you can also drop us an email if you want to have anything shouted out, mentioned on the episodes that we do in the future. dirtyoldpodcast@hotmail.com. That's for you, Rousey. I know you've been banging that drum.
I have.
So we're just bringing it all together. Also, there is a crowdfund that nobody wants to even put £1 into, which is fine. We just keep on teams. It's not a problem.
Shit.
Fund the progress, peeps. Fund the progress.
So we've got Gav with his. Looks like he's got a green screen, so anything could appear on the background at any time. What I wanted to do, I wanted to start off. Danny wanted me to sort of mention about Danny's nephew, Joe Bradshaw is his name, made his debut for the England under-15s. So, Danny, tell us a little bit more about your nephew, mate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's fabulous, but he actually made the first squad this time around for England under-15s. He played 2 games. He played against Wolves on Friday, I think, and he played against Belgium on Sunday down at St George's Park. So, you know, going round watching him play there was just absolutely amazing, and he loves football. He's an absolute superstar. Looks like a left winger, left wide forward. So I just wanted to give him a shout out on the podcast and just say how proud I am of him.
Yeah, no, good shout, good shout.
Danny, can he play left back?
Centre midfield, I think. He's a bit of a creator, but maybe we'll get him on loan in a few years potentially.
Yeah.
Well, no, fair play to be playing, you know, at any level representing your country is absolutely massive honour, isn't it? So to do that under 15s.
So if anyone from the club is watching, Casper, Butt, Skulls, do you want to say his name again, Danny, just so we, the podcast can get rights on him here, I reckon. We could be his agent.
Liverpool at the minute, yeah.
No, fair play. Thanks for sharing that, Danny. It's appreciated. Yeah. Obviously, brings something a little bit different to the podcast. You know, we don't always want to talk about all the negative stuff about Salford. There's a lot of positives out there, isn't there?
There is.
Chaps, let's go back to beginning of February. We did a podcast 2 weeks ago to have a look at, obviously we reviewed January overall, and we was looking at the February up and coming. We had 6 games in February, and we was kind of looking at what the point expectation would be. We've got 18 points to play for. Where would we like to finish? You know, of course, 18 points would have been fantastic. But we played 3 games. We're halfway through. Let's go into them in a little bit more detail. Rousey, well, we're going to come to you on the Rochdale game.
Yeah.
We got a win.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a convincing win? Could we have played better? Did we actually do all right? Did we do enough? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, well, different ways to look at it. I think in terms of us getting the win, yeah, for me it was expected. I think I said in the podcast that I wanted to do a number on Rochdale after what they did to us in the reverse fixture. And to be fair, the first half went the way I thought it would. I thought we enjoyed the better of the first half. I thought, again, possession-wise and chances we were creating, we looked in control of that game. I won't say it was comfortable, but yeah, in terms of on the ball, we were doing everything right. I don't think that they were causing too much of a threat. And like I said, in terms of first halves and how it all went, it was by the book for me. Smith got the goal early enough, which settled everybody's nerves. I think, you know, we scored after 10 minutes from a looping cross from Watt, and Smith did what he's paid to do and put the ball in the net. So it was, yeah, the first half was as you were. But the worry was, as long as it stayed 1-0, I think that gave Rochdale a bit of confidence. I think from the second half, they obviously got a bit of a talking to from their manager, moved a few things around, changed a few things tactically, and they grew slowly but surely. They were growing into the second half, becoming more of a threat. I think Quigley had a couple of chances at our goal, and although a lot of them were kind of straight down the middle or comfortable enough for Cairns, the fact that they were growing back into it, again, they had something to build on. Yes, we did peg them back with the McElhaney goal in the 60th minute, but I just felt the way the game ended. I know they got a penalty and scored from it, and in my opinion, was never a penalty. I thought they both had hold of each other, and I think that lad left his leg and just went over looking for it. I think I just felt like we were holding on at the end of the game. So although we won it and that was a positive, and I would have maybe at the start of that game took a 2-0 or a 2, because I thought it should have been a 2-0. I just felt the way the game ended was a bit flat and a bit disappointed. And I come away, although we'd won a bit, we just, you know, I've not seen a convincing performance where we're absolutely dominating teams, and well, certainly not for the last few weeks anyway. And that could have been for me one of them games, a confidence booster at home against a local rival. I think that would have picked the crowd up, but I just felt coming out of the ground, we were clinging on again a little bit to a 2-1 lead, and I'm not happy with that. I think Neil Wood spoke in previous interviews about Moor Lane, or the Peninsula, whatever you want to call it, being a fortress. I disagree with that. I don't think it's by far a fortress. I feel the games, yes, we're picking up points there and we're not losing, but any of these games that we've played in the last 4 or 5 weeks, we could have been on the wrong side of a result on, I feel. So, yeah, not convincing for me. Yes, the win was greatly appreciated, but I think the way that it came about was a bit negative, a bit flat. Good first half, credit where credit's due. We did all right in the first half. But yeah, I think, and again, we'll probably touch on it in the other games and the other reviews. I think we're showing teams too much respect. We're standing off them too much. We're not snapping into tackles. We're not up for it. And the last few home games I've seen, the opposition team have been putting it about us really quickly and putting us under pressure at home. I disagree with Neil Wood saying that, like, we're building a fortress, because I don't feel that as a fan. I feel like in second half of games we're usually under pressure, unless we've got something to claw back in the game. We're already a goal down, like a game we're going to touch on in a bit with Harrogate. Yeah, it was just a look that I'd say the second half of that Rochdale game, or certainly the last 20-30 minutes, I felt we were under the cosh a bit. So yeah, a bit disappointed. We got the win, brilliant. Credit where credit's due in the first half. We did everything I expected, but we never kicked on from that, and dominated it.
I suppose the issue is we know, but watching sort of the third season of League Two football, in any division really, when you look at the teams in there, we understand that anybody on the day could beat anybody. You know, that happens. It's football. Anybody can beat anybody. I think going into that game, it's dead easy to look at the table and go, Rochdale, bottom of the table, they've only scored this amount of goals, they conceded that many goals. This should be an easy game.
And as a fan, Martin, that's what I'm saying. You look at things like that on paper, look at your league positions. I'm not blowing smoke up our arse when I say we're Salford City. We're expected and want to go up every single year. We want to be dominating games like that. You look at the Premier League, for instance, when Arsenal or City or United or someone play at home against an Everton or a Southampton or a Wolves, you'd expect a dominant performance. me as a Salford fan, that's all I want to see. And we had no reason not to dominate that game. The way the first half went, getting the early goal and going 2-0 up in a scrappy second half. Kick on then, absolutely batter them, dominate them, attack. I don't see it. We just seem to go 1-0 up and stand off them, which is frustrating because you're allowing that team to come back on you and build momentum in a game. Or it takes us to go 1-0 down to think, shit, we're losing here. We're going to end up losing this game if we don't, book our ideas up. And I feel that there's a pattern in the last few games, the way the results have kind of gone for us. And yeah, I don't want to dampen it because it was a win, and we did, we come away with the 3 points. And I think that result put us 3 points off automatic promotion at that stage. Brilliant, great, but I feel the way that second half ended was disappointing.
I think was it Elliot Watt that did a post match? I think it was Elliot Watt. I'm pretty certain it was, and he was kind of saying, look, yeah, it's great. We know where we are in the league. However, we're not getting carried away with that. There's a job to be done. There's plenty of games left, and we've got to keep on pushing forward. I mean, a great start to the month. And either way, it will come a point. It will come a point in the season where, it'll be like, how we get the 3 points, we're not bothered.
It doesn't matter. I get that. Wins are wins, but when we're sat here on this asking how we judged that performance and how that game went, I felt the end was a damp squid on a victory. Do you know what I mean? I don't know like I said, I don't know what to expect anymore as a Salford fan. You go into games, you look at it on paper at the start of the game, and your head and your heart, you're having that battle. Like we should be going into any game thinking we can win this, we can beat these, we can smash these. On paper and the signings, we look fantastic. But when the game actually plays out, I always come away feeling deflated. There's got to be a reason for that, and I just feel that second half summed it up for me.
I think we've had a good season so far, and I say that meaning that at this stage of the season we're in the playoffs. We've not been in this position before. We normally chase it at the back end of the season. But it seems like we're in this, I want to say a progression, but a negative progression. And what I mean by that is the performances seem to be going the other way and progressively the wrong way of where we want it to be. And I mean, Gav, coming into the Tranmere game, we're going in there with 3 points from Rochdale. And although an away game against Tranmere is always difficult place to go to, big crowd, big expectations, we're still going in there with a little bit of confidence, but it didn't turn out that way for us, Gav, did it?
No. Can you hear me?
We can. We were just wondering what the long pause was for.
I've been muted.
Talk to us about the Tranmere game, pal.
Yes. So yes, you asked me to talk about this, and I looked at the stats and what have you. But I think the important thing, which I thought I'll say first, which I'm not sure is right, but the amount of fans who walked out of that game at half time and went to the pub for a beer, that says a lot about where we are at the moment. And I'm not sure it's right to walk out and go to a pub at half time or not. For me, it probably isn't. But if fans are actually feeling so, they have to walk out. And I don't actually think we was as bad as that sort of says. Then I think it needs highlighting that among the fans, there's obviously a lot of discontent about how we're playing or what's happening on the field and whatsoever. So I thought I'd mention that first. Should we call them scouts just from Tranmere or Birkenheaders?
Birkenheaders.
The Birkenheaders.
Something else.
The Birkenheaders. They were sort of like giving us praise, giving us compliments, and saying, actually, you can tell why these boys up there, fifth in the league, I think we were at the time, and they were saying, they play nice football, and apart from playing nice football, I don't think we did much else. So yeah, we were getting compliments. we were playing nice football, but did we have any heart? Did we have any desire? Did we have the fight in us? For me, that's what was missing. The last 3, 4, 5, 6 matches at least, if not every match against Salford, the opposition, they're charging us down. The effort they're putting, they're going home and they're sleeping for a couple of days, the opposition. We're going home, we're getting jumping in Rousey's jacuzzi, we're having a good night, and then we're waking up next morning and going for a 4-mile jog because we've got loads of energy. We don't seem to be putting the work effort in. So although we might have a bit of quality, I've not seen the work ethic. And going back to a few weeks back, the transfer window, which I'm sure all of us said, we were talking about the left back and the right back. And as soon as the goal happened, I went left back, right back. So basically, we had McLaughlin, isn't it, at right back. You could tell he wasn't a right back. It was too easy to get past him, too easy to get the cross in. And Torre at the left back, it was too easy for the attacker to actually get in front of him. I think about 90% of the time on that attack, Torre was in the right position in front of him. There at the last moment, the attacker's obviously takes the initiative and just puts that step in front of him. That's at professional football. Torre should have cleared that, even if the cross wasn't coming in the first place. So that was disappointing. Matt Smith didn't start in that game, which I got a message from. Who was it who messaged me? Well, it was Martin. Martin was fuming because Matt Smith wasn't starting. And and yes, I see why he was fuming, because to pick an easy team against Tranmere, who were poor, who were in the bottom half of the table, we could have gone forward if we won that game.
Yeah.
To pick an easy team, you put Matt Smith in, you put McElhenney and whatsoever, and you'd go, let's just go and get these points. It's about to be a battle today. Let's go home. But he put Morton was up front, wasn't he? Looked a bit lightweight. He didn't look too bad. He looked a bit. What, his third game is it? It's been on for us. I think the other 2 have been substitutions or one, what have you. Oh, there's nothing too much positive to say about that game. We have more possession than them. That's a little bit positive. Fouls from both teams. Again, I think I mentioned this before. 9 fouls each. That doesn't say there was a battle. That says we sort of, again, it was a bit of a backwards and forth game. We give each other a chance to have a go at each other. I just, like I say, am I disappointed? Am I frustrated? Probably a bit of both. But yeah, Neil Wood thinks we should have come away with 3 points. I think, no, you don't. End of the day, you don't put ball back in net. We don't deserve anything. Yeah, I'm quite down on that game, to be honest, because I felt really, really frustrated.
I think the issue that a lot of fans have got at the moment is when it comes to the away games. And now, look, I don't go to away games, and I have my reasons for that. But for the people that go to the away games, okay, the fans go knowing that they're not going to win every game. There's going to be wins, there's going to be losses. You're going to win good, you're going to lose good. And I think all that away fans want when they're spending their hard-earned cash and taking their time to get up early, all right, Tranmere down the road, but other away games where you're up at early doors and you're not getting back till late, is you just want to see heart, desire, bit of passion. Yep. I'm not all for this kissing the badge lark, because unless you're a one club man, forget all that. But you're being paid by your employer as a footballer to give 100% on that pitch. And I think if you get that and you come away and we get beat 1-0 from Tranmere, okay, anybody can beat anybody. Tranmere is a hard place to go and get points. You can understand a little bit, and I don't think that's the issue. Getting beat 1-0 for me isn't the issue. I think the issue, like you said, Gav, you've hit the nail on the head, is work ethic. And I think some of these players, not to name names as such, but I think because it's collectively as a team. It's
collective, yeah, it's collective.
But the problem we've got, Gav, is this isn't just Tranmere specific, but is we've got a manager on the sideline. He's not the type of person. He's not a baller and shout. He's not like a Bowyer type. He's come from a background of developing young players where he has to remain positive. He has to encourage. I'm not saying he hasn't got that in him. I don't think I'm not saying he's not giving out lashings at half time. But as soon as they cross that white line, we need somebody on that pitch who can get that team going. You know, forget the management and the coaches on the side. They'll shout tactics, but we haven't got anybody on the pitch who's demanding that work ethic. You know, you've got, and I'm sorry if people might get upset by this, but you've got Tory, who's now the captain now that Easton's not fit and we'll probably never see him play for Salford again now, who's the club captain, and okay, he's our most paid player, but he looks about as dry as Sahara Desert. He doesn't ooze. He doesn't demand. No, but do you know, like, look, you look at all the most successful captains. You look at any team, you go from like a Roy Keane or, you know, like a De Bruyne at City and that. You know, when times are needed, they're trying to grab them by the scruff at necks and say, "Come on, pull your fingers out, lads."
Yeah,
just know that. And what you get from Tory is, when he concedes a goal and it's quite clearly Tory's fault, what does he do as captain? Rather than taking it on chin going, "Sorry, lads, but let's get going," he goes, "Oh, well, where were you? Where is it?" He's pointing. He's like directing traffic. And that's not what a leader does. A leader will take that on the shoulders and go, "I'm responsible for this team's performance." He doesn't drive the team forward. So we haven't got anybody, and that's shown last night, but we'll go into that game in a bit, where there actually wasn't a leader on that pitch last night. You know,
I might disagree with that, but again, I can come to that later on. I've got a shout on it, but you know, I can hold my tongue.
Yeah. We'll get there, Danny. I promise you.
Danny, this is my segment.
I know.
Exactly.
This is
Exactly.
Sam's turn.
Well, what you just said about Tory, I think we've said it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I think me and Anthony spoke about it last night. Just standing with him for the game, and like I say, he's so dry, like you said, like a bit like a desert. Well done for that one. I like that one. But like I say, he's actually needs time to concentrate on his own game, because his own game's actually lacking that extra 10-20%, and he's not doing what he should be doing. So how can he captain? Even if he was playing great, to be honest, like you said, his personality doesn't come across as a captain. Full stop. But like I say, at no point this season do I believe that anybody in the right mind would give Tory the captaincy.
No,
you wouldn't.
No. You're not bringing Tory in because he's got leadership qualities. Don't get me wrong. He has been fantastic for us, and it's hard to knock him because he has done a lot for the club. He's got us, to where we are now. He's been part of that group, but there is nobody to push him. We've said this before, and likewise, being specific to that Tranmere game, he's on the wrong side of his man. And we saw that again last night. His awareness at this level, I don't think he's aware, or he's not quick enough to be aware of his surroundings at this level. National League, he has a bit of time because he's experienced, but at League Two, I think it's a little bit of a challenge for him.
What about this one as well? So I just mentioned who's chosen captain, who's this, that. You could obviously Neil Wood, what have you. Right, so the people running our club this season, Nicky Butt, CEO, was he ever looked like a captain sort of person on the pitch? Was he ever sort of demand? No. Ryan Giggs, director of football, did he ever shout at anyone? Maybe his mum for not doing his sandwiches. Who's the other one?
Oh God, he's going in.
Roy Keane was there last night.
Paul Scholes. He's about as quiet as they all come. He spoke with his boots. Chris Casper. We don't necessarily have someone in the club who knows what a captain is, apart from the guy who who stepped down, which is Gary Neville, and apparently Fergie always said his personality was a captain's personality. But like I said, the current crop who were running it, and it's them three who were running it, Casper, did they know what a captain is? Did they know what we need to get over that line? Roy Keane sits there every week like an idiot because I said that, because I wouldn't go watching Salford if I was Roy Keane. And he must go, nod his head and go, "That's why I was great." He must just, I bet he walks out, pats himself on back every week, goes, "Yeah." He comes for a coffee with a bit of rum in it, and he pats himself on his back and walks off.
Well, I don't know. I know one thing I have to disagree there, Gav. He doesn't put rum in there because he's Irish. He obviously has a nice Irish coffee, doesn't he, with a little bit of whiskey.
Of course he does.
Look, we put some out on Facebook about the Tranmere game. I wanted fans. To be fair, it's probably been one of the most active posts actually on the Salford Supporters group that has been for quite a while.
Yeah.
There's just short of 60 comments back on it, which was really good. We couldn't put them all, but we asked Salford fans to sort of sum the Tranmere game up in 3 words because we could sense throughout the game with posts on Facebook and just the general feeling that there was a bit of a backlash, a bit of unhappiness around. So I wanted to get people's feelings and thoughts on the game. So I'm going to read a couple out. Apologies if you've spent the time thinking of 3 really good words and we don't say them. Look, it's just the way it is. Maybe next time. However, there's also a lot that kind of sounds similar. So again, I'm trying to pick different ones. So let's go through a couple here. Listen to them all, chaps, and see what stands out to you. Okay, pin your logos back. Tony S. Tomo, lackluster, unimaginative, predictable. Russell Wintle, get a fire stick. Think he's insinuating, Gav. You know about the fire stick sit show, don't you? Save your money, don't travel, watch it on the fire stick. Yeah. John Chappell or Chappelle, don't know how you pronounce it. Sorry, mate. Baffling team selection. Totally agree. Colin Carter, lack of fitness. Interesting. Gaz Ige, please bench Morton. Josh Purcell, like watching Peru. Now I take exception to that because I think Peru is fantastic. Rachel Rouse. Now she put 2, but I've gone for the censored version. Waste of money. She did put something else on there, but yeah, I thought I'll keep it PG tonight because it could get interesting. But what stands out there, chaps, to you? What's kind of like the number one there that you think, yeah, pretty spot on that?
Was that about the people running the club or the players?
Well, this was about
like you said earlier. In general, there's a frustration growing, and when you pay to go to watch these away games, you want to see at least a good performance, minimal. Just wear your heart on your sleeve, go out there, do what I said earlier. What teams seem to be doing to us at the minute and putting us under pressure, as snapping into tackles, get the crowd going, get the fans on your side, and quieten the home supporters as quickly as possible. And we're not seeing it. This isn't just the last couple of weeks. This has been for a bit of a while now, in my opinion, where even the games that we are winning, we're not winning them convincingly. We're not doing what I wouldn't say what a supporter requires, because obviously that's irrelevant, really. You do what your management tell you to do, and I get that. But yeah, we just I think from the documentary, there's an example here where Neil Wood said before he took over, if we outrun, outplay, and out something else, the opposition, that's how you win games.
Outrun, outplay, and outfight, I think.
Yeah. We're doing the complete opposite, I think, at the minute, in terms of outrun and outplay and certainly outfight.
Sorry, Anthony, a quick one there. What she said that in his latest interviews, does he not say that we are doing that?
I don't think we are, though. I'm sorry.
I agree with you, but is he not seeing something different than what we're seeing?
Well, he must be. He must be.
Yeah, but let's be honest, chaps. He's not. We saw this with Wellens as well, didn't we? When he was giving his post-match interviews, and you knew quite clearly something wasn't right. He's not going to come on and go, yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, tactics was wrong, because he's just going to shoot himself in the foot.
I would applaud him more if he did, rather than try and puff and waff around a bad performance.
Possibly we would, yeah, of course we would, because all you want is transparency, and you kind of want Wood to be on board and go, yeah, I'm seeing the same things that you're seeing, and I agree with you, and I'm personally, and the team, we're doing everything we can to try and put that right, rather than kind of going. Well, I mean, we'll kind of discuss after the Harrogate game and have a look at his latest post-match interview. But let's keep it moving forward, gents. Danny, obviously, 3 points against Rochdale. Okay, only 1-0 defeat against Tranmere away. Result-wise, not shocking, but performances wasn't great going into last night's game against Harrogate. However, we're kind of thinking, look, we've got a great record against Harrogate, which doesn't really mean anything unless it's exactly the same team. If it's the same team playing 13 times, yeah, that's a good record, but the teams are changing. But I personally thought, going into that game last night, part of me thought we'll win this, but then part of me was like,
did it?
I'm not sure. However, is it kind of like a must-win game? I know you not got 3 points. It's not the end of the season, but part of it seemed like it was a must-win game as well. So, Danny, talk to us about the Harrogate game.
Well, it's the freshest. I'll give it that. I appreciate being given the freshest meat. So, I mean, Rousey was basically saying, and I'll happily agree that I think we've been flat now, potentially. Results aside, flat at least 4 games. It feels like at least 4 games. I can't remember each result after another, but this was another pretty flat until the charge of the Light Brigade at the end, and that's not good enough, really, because the image that keeps coming back to my mind, and I probably talk about it in every podcast and most posts that I do on the message board, is like losing against Bradford away. That was a great performance. That was a performance that I absolutely loved. And I remember that the pod, we talked about it. Yes, we lost, but at that time we were beating teams. We were scoring quite a lot of goals. We scored 2 I think we lost 3-2. That was a joy to me. Yes, you might not get up losing. You won't get up losing 3-2 every week. I understand that. But for me, that energy that we had, that drive, is completely gone. And the strangest thing that I find is that we seem to have slightly gone downhill performance-wise ever since we beat Northampton, and I can't quite understand it. I don't really have any magical theory as to what happened, because you're beating a good team there, Northampton. I will get to the Harrogate game, but I think we're still in this downward trajectory that we can't seem to shake. But one of the main things I want to talk about from last night, I put it in my post. If you've read it already, you might not want to listen to this. Is our left back. We talked about Toure, but I'm even going to put it more on Leek's shoulders, because Leek, as I mentioned in my post, was targeted over 10 times. The ball over the top of him, the ball to the side of him. So teams are looking at him. I think that happened a game or 2 ago as well, but it definitely happened last night. That they're looking at him as an absolute weak link that they can target again and again and again. I mean, if any of you can remember an attack that came down the opposite side, what did Lowe have to do down that side? I didn't see anything.
No, you're right.
I was watching, so it's one of those where sometimes you think, am I seeing something? Am I not? But I do believe that it was just left centric. They were coming down our left again and again and again. So. And really, you can say offside, this, that, and the other, but I think it was a poor Leek pass that created the opportunity for their goal, and he probably wasn't in the right position when they actually scored it. So I'm not a massive fan. He's had some decent games in the last few. Yesterday was a terrible game for his, and I do hope that it wasn't just a tactical play to take him off. He deserved to come off. But the problem is, and this is my next point about it, is we don't have anyone to put in. We had to play, what is it, Lowe at centre back, I think as a makeshift, because we took Leek off. So that to me says, yeah, we've got a million strikers on the bench, all of who are easy to push off the ball, or they're very fast but they can't control the ball or whatever. But we don't have any options where we really need them, which is in defence, which is very worrying to me. I did want to come in on one other point, which is that there hasn't been a great deal of agreement, I don't believe, from what I've seen in reactions to my post today. Ryan Watson was absolutely phenomenal, or at least phenomenally better than anyone else on our team, in my opinion, last night. He looked the only one who actually looked like he had a bit of time on the ball, was carrying the ball forward. Yes, Thomas the Tank Engine or Luke Bolton was keep running down. It's exciting. We don't do anything with it. So for me, Ryan Watson is, without Elliot Watt, was our captain in waiting. He was the man on that field that I saw last night. There's quite a few other angles I could take. I'd love to say this with Gav listening. Best crosser in the club is Hendry, 100%. He's not Luke Bolton. Hendry has got the best crossing technique that I think we've got in our squad. Whether we want to discuss about that, I don't know, but it's definitely something. I'm not feeling it with Luke Bolton at the minute. As exciting as his pace is, please create something that we can actually use.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, his energy's there. You can see that. I think he's the lad that wears his heart on his sleeve in terms of energy, Luke. But for what he's there to actually do, which is put the ball in the box, he's not the best at it. Because I think time and time again he's got into those positions or got to the byline, and the cross has been frustrating, to say the least. I probably would agree with a lot of that. I thought Watson had a very, very good game last night. I do believe that. I thought Andrew was a bit hit and miss for me. I thought he had a good first half yesterday, but kind of just drifted out of the game a little bit. And I think he was getting a bit frustrated and probably, again, deserved to come off. It was the right time to make that sub and bring him off, I felt. But, yeah, I would agree with that. I thought Ryan Watson had a very, very good game last night. Who did get player of the match out of interest? Do we know?
Sure.
Lund.
No, was it Lund? Yeah, well, for obvious reasons.
What?
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I do actually feel like that Ryan Watson had a very good game, though.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Dan,
Okay.
going back to your Hendry.
Please.
Hendry is actually every part of his game, technically, is better than anyone in our squad. So I agree with you when you say crossing, because he's actually probably 2 steps in front of everyone else in his thinking. And that's what does does bad for Hendry, because everyone else is behind him, everyone else is slower. Technically, Hendry's amazing. Luke Bolton, I don't actually think his crosses are that bad. Again, I think where he's been developed at Man City is his thinking, and his automatic thinking is his crosses are to certain points, the edge of a 6-yard box, the penalty spot, etc. It's that where our attackers or our midfielders aren't actually on the same wavelength as this guy. When he gets there, he actually probably isn't about to look for me necessarily all the time, but he's about to put it in these 3 spots. So if I'm in one of them spots, I'll get it. I can head it or kick it, what have you. So to say that he doesn't look up, which a lot of people say, but he always puts it in the same position. So I don't think Luke Bolton's as bad as what we're saying about crossing. I think he's, again, 2 steps in thinking, a bit like Hendry, ahead of the rest of them.
Yeah, fair comment. I think he does drive it low to the front post, doesn't he? Or he'll put it in high and deep to the back post. That does happen quite a lot. But yeah, it might just be a frustration, the fact that it doesn't go to anyone. And we see that obviously as a fan, and your frustration grows then, and you probably berate him for it. So that, yeah, it's a fair shout, that, to be fair.
I feel
sorry, Luke, I take it all back.
Well.
Sorry, Dan, I didn't hear that, mate.
No, that's fine. I was going to say that I look at him sometimes, and last night I still couldn't pin down what position he was supposed to be in. Somewhere on the right, but I felt he was very isolated in ways that they just expect him to Kanchelski's people all the time. Just hit it and run, and it's like, well, the opposition know what's coming. They can account for pace because they'll just get someone to shift across, and I feel sorry that he's not. If you kind of catapult him, if he lays it off and then goes, that's something different. But if it's just him from a standing start, having to, literally Kanchelski sit, as I keep saying, as a reference point down the wing, it's kind of exciting, but not so much anymore when you kind of think, well, even if he does get past him, what's going to happen? We can look at it from Gav's perspective. Are the people receiving the cross not in the right area, or is he not controlling his body shape when he's putting the cross in? Is the pitch too bobbly in the penalty area? Which if you put a low cross in our box last night, forget it. that we don't know where that's going. That's like, you know, that's like a paddy field or something. So it's a difficult one. But I do feel sorry for him as well.
I mean, one thing I wanted to pick up on, I think was probably a shock to everybody, was that obviously Elliot Watt wasn't in the starting 11 on the bench. I mean, when I first heard that, I thought, oh, it's an absolute joke. But what we don't know is he could have picked up a knock and he was just sat there to make up the number, and a kind of look, if we really need you, we'll put you on for 10 minutes, but we don't want to chance it. And I would presume that would be the case, because if he wasn't injured or wasn't feeling a little bit unwell and he was just dropped,
he should be in. Yeah.
I'm very concerned if that was the decision, because he is the most creative player in League Two. That's not me saying that. That's the stats telling you he's created the most chances.
Yeah.
So
he had to be injured. They put him on a bench, not because he was about to play, it's so he wasn't at home banging his missus.
Just when you think there's going to be an absolute
we're trying to keep
pearl
it PG, and then Gav just waited.
He's got to have been injured, otherwise he would have been subbed on. Like you said, his stats prove it. They obviously just didn't want him going home early.
I think that's the case though with the Tranmere game and Matt Smith. I don't know. I might be giving Neil Wood a get out of jail free card, but I think he can't play every week. I think his body won't allow him, so they try and rest him. They might have seen that game as an opportunity to get Morton in his pace in and around Turnbull and I don't know their other back centre half, but they weren't the quickest. And I think they thought that might pan out and play to our favour, that Morton's speed, but just didn't happen because they absolutely bullied him, where you needed Smith in that game, really.
That's the point I was just going to say. I would have looked at the Rochdale game. If that was the case of resting, I would have gone, put Smith on the bench against Rochdale with a little bit more pace. The bottom of the table, take a chance, might work out, and then bring Smith on if it's needed. And because Tranmere, you know, you've got Turnbull at the back. I'm not too concerned. I'm not familiar with everybody else that's around him, but you know, we know what Turnbull's like when he's played at us. You know, he was in the League Two of the team last season. You know, he'll give you a bit of a rough game. I still think Smith would have handled Turnbull because he handles most people. But I just thought that would have been the game that we should have been playing Smith, was against Tranmere rather than Rochdale, if that was the case of resting him. But I also got some comments from Facebook as usual, because obviously the success of the Tranmere game, a lot of people wanted to offload and give it a few people a mention on here. So again, chaps, I've got a couple of. I asked for one positive and one negative. Some are just positive, some are just negative, and a bit of both. So the first one I've got here, let's read here. Mark Grundy said positive. The only positive was Bolton. Pete Green, Lund coming on was a positive.
This is the Tranmere game, is it?
This is Harrogate.
Oh, this last night? Yeah. Right, okay.
So Pete Green says Lund coming on was a positive. Mark Grundy says positive was Bolton, drove the ball forward constantly, looked to take players on and get involved. The negative was Toure, couldn't take players on, couldn't pick the right cross out or defend when needed. His legacy is written, but he's out of his depth. Strong words, Mark Grundy, but love it. Yeah, can't really fault that, to be fair. I thought actually defensively last night Toure was found out. Don't get me wrong, he was trying towards in the second half, the last 20-25 minutes, he was winning the ball higher up the pitch, and then taking somebody on and trying to put a ball in, which
he was trying to go past the halfway line yesterday. I don't know what that was about.
I think he spent more time in the opposition half than in his own, but he was severely getting found out. We was exposed down that their right hand side, down our left hand side. Couple of other comments here was Lois Ahern. Positive was we didn't lose. Suppose it's a positive. Negative, another blow to a shot at automatics, if we ever were. Jake Quellin, Hendry and Bolton performances were a positive. Negative, to take Elliot Watt out, we have no one to cross the ball. However, like Gav just pointed out, you know, Hendry can you know, when that ball gets played back, he can whip a nice ball back in. David Stone says the negative was playing Louis Grealish wannabe Barry. Yeah, okay. Mike Squire, I think this is the last one actually. Mike Squire says inconsistent play and too many long balls, and the positive is either point at half time. Good positive.
Yeah, it is a good one.
I think there's a couple of things there's things in there I can agree and disagree with on the negative side of things. I'm going to go against what Mike said in terms of the long balls, because
I agree with him.
But again, I'm going to come back to Matt Smith, because we know when Matt Smith, the balls have got to be played up a little bit more, you know, to bring people in. He flicks it on. He's not the type of player that we try and play into feet to. So you kind of know what you get. That's kind of what's been successful for us recently. And I don't think we're a long ball team. I think we are trying to play. Look at the amount of times that, you know, Watt gets on the ball, Watson gets on the ball, and gets the ball kind of in a defensive midfield position and play it forward. We're not always lumping the ball up like we were, sorry to say, when Gary Bowyer was here and things. We wasn't just playing long ball consistently. We are trying to play it out. Look at the distribution. Another person I wanted to mention, again, Alex Cairns. I thought his distribution last night was fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
To throw the ball like he does on a slick pitch and get that pace absolutely spot on pretty much every time last night is an absolute art. And I thought, you just know that he's looking to get the play forward quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. And another thing I liked about Alex Cairns is when we equalised, the passion. He was up on the halfway line, giving it that, come on, you know. I suppose he's the only one as a goalkeeper that player has that leadership quality, but I would expect that from a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper's usually vocal, and they should be.
I think as well. I think Vassell has a little bit of that in stages.
Oh, he screams, doesn't he? Yeah, he screams.
Yeah. No, there is, but again, I still think Vassell. I think it was obviously well known. That when there was that World Mental Health Day and things, you know, he's had issues in his life where he suffered from mental health, and now whether that has an impact, but I also get the impression with Vassell that he's kind of looks quite reserved. I know he's strong and he's up for a scrap on the pitch and stuff, but you know, I don't think he's the type of character that balls and shouts. I think he tries to stay composed like he does. He tries to wind players up, but stay composed. So he doesn't look like the type of person that wants to sort of rave and shout about things. Just wanted to move on to sort of one thing that fans keep on talking about is the inconsistencies. Now, there's a couple of things there. I would say inconsistencies with performances, inconsistencies with the starting 11. Is that kind of adding to the reasons where it's going wrong, do you think?
But I think
go for it, Dan. Go on.
I just want to. I mean, it's a point that I won't say it's mine. There's a fellow on the message board. His username is JE85, and it's something that I've kind of thought about. That he said that Neil Wood doesn't seem to trust basically anyone who's outside the first 14 or 15. You know, if you look at it, I mean, top four players this year. You've got Ibu, number 1, most minutes. Vassell, number 2. Watson, number 3. And Watt, number 4. So basically, they've virtually never been rotated. So I actually think that the people have said in one of these 3 words, fitness, lacking fitness. And it's interesting that, is it lacking fitness or is it actually just tiredness? That there is rotation now. He probably doesn't want to rotate Smith out. He probably doesn't want to rotate and leave Watt out for a full game, but he might have to. I think, Anthony, you were saying that you know, these players, they've had 1 or 2 games rest all season, these regulars, and they're probably knackered. But they're so integral to our team. There's no real replacements. I don't think he wants to play Lund for any extended period. So I actually think, for me, the inconsistency of selection is kind of forced on him by how much he has used a good handful of players. A lot of the real fringe squad players have never got a look in, which is a real shame.
Good points, Danny. Thanks for taking that one. Somebody has to jump in and take the lead on that one. Look, we again, I think we could go into that a little bit more in detail, but I think where we are, we've reviewed 3 games, taking it forward again because we've just got a couple of more boxes to tick off here. I suppose what leaves us is 3 games for this month, and we spoke about the beginning of February in the podcast we did there. Is it a case of at the end of each month, as long as we're in the playoffs, that's kind of positive, and it's another month closer to finishing the season where we finish in the playoff spots. But what does concern me, guys, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it briefly, if we can, is I actually thought we'd be sitting on at least 6 points, maybe 7, because I didn't want to think that was going to get beat by Tranmere, but I thought we'd beat Rochdale, I thought we'd beat Harrogate, and I was hoping that we'd maybe scrape a point against Tranmere, but minimum 6 points. But where it stands is we're actually on 4, and then we're going into games like Swindon at home. Okay, they're 11th. People will say we should be beating them, but that's going to be a difficult game. Then
Just a quick one on that, though, on the Swindon game.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it in the car last night, Gav, didn't we? Josh Morris is their manager, ex-Chelsea player, ex-young Chelsea midfielder.
Jody Morris, yeah.
Jody Morris, sorry.
You're on about that guy who used to play for us, aren't you?
Yeah, hasn't won a game yet for him. So law of averages says that's going to change soon, and it'll probably be against us on Saturday.
Well, it will be, won't it? Because we're Salford, and that's what we like. We like people coming to our gaff and taking 3 points with them down the M5. Mansfield away. Now they're a team that's coming banging form at the moment. That's a concern for me. And then we've got Barrow away, which can always be a tricky tie away in Barrow. But they are 14th. They've slipped, they've dipped in form. But equally, we're kind of not in the best of form ourselves. So all these games, these 3 games in February do concern me. I don't trying to work out how many points we're going to get from them 3. And way we're playing at the moment, it could be 9 points, it could be no points, and anything in between. So what those 3 games, chaps, out of 9 points, where do you think the points come from?
Well, if I can butt in, sorry, I haven't done it too much times tonight, so I'm due a few.
Are you taking it now? Are you taking your card now, Gav? Your button card.
So going on a little consistency bit on what Dan was saying, and a bit on these 3 games. So for me, it was because I mentioned this before. We need to give Smith a rest. We need to use our subs. Our players need minutes. But the position where we are now, do we need to actually start putting our best 11 out every game from now, or from February? Because I originally thought maybe get through these games. Once we get to February, rotations happened. If you've not been rotated, you're not good enough for Wood. From February, there'll be 13 games left, I think, after these 3, is it? Or 12? We need our best team out every week. And if someone's a little bit tired, you better fight through it, because these next 12, 14 games, if anybody who puts a run together, let's say 10 unbeaten, they won't get promoted, whether it's Salford, whether it's Swindon, whether it's whoever it is in and around. So we need to put our best team out. Do we do it now, Swindon, Mansfield and Barrow, or do we still have a bit of rotation?
Yeah, I agree with you, Gav. I think we're at a point now where you risk rotating players at risk of tiredness and fatigue, but could that be at the expense of securing a playoff spot? And I think you're right. I think you need to be starting your starting 11 wherever you can, to be fair. I mean, look, these are professional footballers, and they train. I'm sure they do work out, but they're very fit people. And I know it's high intensity for 90 minutes, but it's what they should be able to do. And they're not playing 3 games a week.
It's what they're paid to do as well, Martin. Let's have it right. They're not doing it for shits and giggles. It's the job.
Well, imagine if you turn around to your boss and your boss says, "Can you do this?" No, I'm a bit tired.
Yeah.
Can you rotate me? Can somebody just step in? Life doesn't work like that, does it?
Fatigue is real, though. Fatigue is real. I mean, it's a fact. It's, you know, I'm totally with you. And I want our best team, but fatigue is something you can't deny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, take a Red Bull down and they're fine.
Should be worried about fatigue. And Danny, if you want to go and rub Neil's head,
Again,
it was Valentine's last night, but yeah, we're not in any cups. We're just playing league matches, so fatigue shouldn't come into play now. We've got, is it 16 matches over 3 months?
Something like that. Yeah, around that.
It shouldn't come into it, fatigue. We haven't got any cup games. The only rearranged game I think is a Barrow one, isn't it? So we haven't got a pile up of fixtures necessarily. And you're looking around Easter and stuff. There's nowhere in the fixture list now is these. Oh, we're about to play 3 games in 7 days or something like that. I would get that, but come on, like I say, it's apart from maybe Smith, because I think if you looked at him last night, in about 80 minutes, he's like his head's down, he's panting.
Yeah, you can see it in Smith.
He got back up and he's fighting. So no disrespect to Smith, it's just his physicality, but he looks absolutely ruddy. He got back up in his fight again, so to say. But all the other players, I would expect majority of them are under 25, aren't they, who played last night? As in, obviously not London stuff, as in the regulars, should I say, like Watson,
Hendry.
Yeah,
you're right. Leak, Vassell. Yeah. You're right. So, I mean, based on that, Gav, then, so are we what are we looking at here? Best starting 11, strongest 11 for the next 3 games, 9 points, or?
I think the Mansfield game's the toughest one for me. I think, again, looking at it on paper, we should be pulling 6 points from 3 of those games, I think. Swindon are not in form. I know I've just said law of averages says they're going to beat us, but when you look at it, they're not in form. They've not won yet with the new manager. We should be beating Barrow. I know it's a tricky place to go, but we should be. Mansfield on paper at the minute are the ones I would say anybody's worried about playing, certainly away from home. So if we can get anything from that, I think that's a good result. I don't care how that comes. We can play bad and pick up a scruffy 1-0 win or get a 1-0 draw, because Mansfield are the team I think anyone in them playoff positions should be looking over the shoulder at the minute. So for me, I'd like 6 out of the next 3 games. I hope it starts on Saturday, but if it doesn't, we've got it banged to do in the next 2.
Anthony, we get beat by Swindon on Saturday, do we have to beat Mansfield?
I think so, yeah.
I do. I think so. We need 6 points out of the 9.
We're putting ourselves under massive pressure. I think we were looking at it last night on Flash Score as the games was panning out, and as we were getting beat at one stage, I think we dropped out of the playoffs. We can't do it. We can't be chasing. We've got to be in that. We've got to be in that position from now till the end of the season, in control of our own destiny. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about pinching that 3rd spot. Now we're talking about potentially staying in the playoffs. And I know that's football. I know it changes, and I get that. But where we are from the start of the season we had, and I can't believe, like, it's just, for me, I just feel that we're always chasing. We're chasing the games, and I go back to what I said earlier. I think something needs to just change slightly in our performances, where we need to be at it. We need to be bang at it and up for it, and not letting other teams come on and build pressure and build things into the game. We need to be shutting it down, because we've got the players to do it.
Yeah. Danny?
Sorry, can I ask Danny one thing? This is on my 3rd button, so I'm due one more.
Yeah, go on.
So you mentioned about Luke Bolton and his crossing and what have you. If we're putting our best team in, who do you think our best front 3 are, or who do you think should start?
Oh, right, okay. Despite being another invisible man of late, really, Connor McElhenney is in that. He's 100% in that. We don't really have anyone. I fear for us when we don't start with Smith. I know me and Martin have kind of ganged up on you on that in the past, Gav, so you've got to accept that we're probably going to say that we're not going to rotate him out. So you've got two of the trio there. It's a shame actually. Bolton has fallen from grace in my head. So what could I think I actually said it in my last post. I would potentially, for a game or two, I might try Hendry on the right. I might do it because technique, you know, I wouldn't say you've made me a believer, but from what Callum showed me in the last few months when he's had a chance, I've looked past his lack of pace. I don't think his pace is arguable. I think he's pretty slow. So them three, McElhenney, Smith, and Hendry is my front three. Yeah,
I think
that answers it.
Pace, and you mentioned obviously he's good crossing. David Beckham never had pace, did he? He just knew where to put the ball.
I won't call him slow though. But you know, anyway, you know, let's not fall out.
Same speed as Hendry.
Yeah, I mean, I think with those front three, I don't think at the moment, not to say they never will, but at the times that Morton and Barry have played, all right, it's been limited times. I appreciate that, but they haven't. You know, Morton's got pace. He's got pace. He will try and close down and get stuck in. I've got all that. But we just need to see a little bit more. Whether that's maybe a goal from him, just sort of maybe he just needs a goal himself, just to sort of believe that actually, you know, he is part of this team and he can do a job for us. But as it stands, I've not seen enough yet from Morton or Barry to sort of say, yeah, they need to be starting. Yeah, and I think Hendry, up until his sending off, was a starting 11 player. He got sent off. Then, fair dues, maybe he was out of favour because of all people coming back. McElhenney came in, out of form maybe a little bit. But then he's had a good period of time out the team. And I think now he probably deserves... There's nobody else... I wouldn't put Morton or Barry in over Hendry at the moment. So I would say, I agree with you, Dan, that put Hendry in, give him a couple of games again. Let's see if he can just bring in a bit from. There was time. I mean, look, you know what he can do. Look at the shot. There was two shots last night actually that stood out. One was the one where he kind of side-footed it, like he ran and kind of side-footed and it looped and hit the crossbar. And then there's a one where the keeper was off his line and he just made a bit of a hash over it and he tried to lob it over, but it was a 10% effort. But yeah. You know, I would go with that. What's Paul just put in here? A playoff place might be in our own destiny. Teams below us all have games in hand.
I think that means might not be in our
destiny.
own destiny.
Yeah, so he's saying playoff spot probably isn't in our own destiny. As teams below us all have games in hand. If, and it is a big if, they win, we could be down to 10th in the league. So... yeah, I mean, by this Saturday, yeah, if we lose another teams, we could be out of those playoffs, and then it's out of our destiny if all the teams keep getting results. Guys, I mean, I think we could probably talk for another hour, to be fair, because we've so much to say, but I think we're probably around the hour mark-ish. We started a little bit late. I think that's a good place to leave it. Guys, if you're listening, you've managed to get to this far, thanks very much for listening for the full hour. Much appreciated. If you listen on Spotify, good. YouTube, good. Again, you can email us at dirtyoldpodcast@hotmail.com. I was going to say Yahoo then, but we're not on Yahoo. Yeah. Cheers, chaps. Thanks very much. Gav, Rouse.
If you don't listen for that alone, you don't know what you're missing out on.
We'll clip that and send it out on. Don't miss this episode when Gav's put his little dodgy music on.
Should have a little advert at the beginning of what the podcast is all about, and just have little snippets like that. Gav pulling strings out with his technical genius.
Legend. Cheers, Gav. Cheers. Right, cheers, chaps.
Cheers, Martin. See you later.
Take care, everyone.